The world is on fire. From the streets of Gaza to the halls of Congress, a struggle for justice rages. Images of Palestinian homes reduced to rubble, children killed by bombs, and families torn apart by occupation flash across our screens. The world bears witness to the brutal reality of Israeli apartheid, fueled by the unwavering support of the United States. This is not simply a conflict, it is a microcosm of a global struggle. A struggle against empire, against oppression, and for the fundamental right to exist. For decades, the Palestinian people have endured the systematic dispossession of their land, the denial of their basic human rights, and the relentless violence of a military occupation. And for decades, the United States has stood as Israel's most powerful ally, providing billions of dollars in military aid, diplomatic cover at the United Nations, and a shield against international accountability. This unwavering support, however, comes at a steep price: the erosion of American moral authority, the alienation of allies, and the fueling of global instability. The fight for Palestinian liberation is inextricably linked to the fate of the U.S. empire. As the world witnesses the decline of American hegemony, the Palestinian struggle represents a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring power of resistance, and a catalyst for a more just and equitable world order. The U.S.-Israel relationship is often touted as an unbreakable bond and a strategic alliance. But beneath the rhetoric of shared values and democratic ideals lies a more sinister reality, a pact forged in oppression, fueled by militarism, and sustained by the denial of Palestinian rights. Since its creation in 1948, Israel has received billions of dollars in U.S. military aid, more than any other country in history. This aid, provided with virtually no conditions, has enabled Israel to maintain its illegal occupation, expand its settlements in the West Bank, and wage devastating wars against Gaza. Beyond military assistance, the U.S. provides Israel with unwavering diplomatic support, consistently vetoing UN resolutions condemning Israeli human rights violations and shielding Israel from international sanctions. This unconditional backing has emboldened Israel's sense of impunity, allowing it to act with disregard for international law and the aspirations of the Palestinian people. The U.S.-Israel relationship, however, extends beyond mere military and diplomatic support. Israel serves as a strategic asset for the U.S., projecting American power in the Middle East, serving as a testing ground for U.S. weapons systems, and safeguarding American economic interests in the region. The prospect of a free and independent Palestine, living side by side with Israel in peace and security, is often presented as the only just and viable solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Yet, for the U.S., a free Palestine represents a threat to its hegemonic ambitions in the Middle East and its global pursuit of empire. A free Palestine would challenge the very foundations of U.S. foreign policy, which has long been predicated on maintaining Israeli military dominance in the region. It would undermine Israel's role as a strategic asset for the U.S., potentially jeopardizing access to military bases, intelligence sharing, and regional influence. Moreover, a free Palestine would set a dangerous precedent for other oppressed people around the world, demonstrating that resistance to colonialism and apartheid can indeed succeed. The U.S. fears that the success of the Palestinian struggle would inspire similar movements for self-determination and liberation, potentially threatening U.S. interests and alliances in other parts of the world. Furthermore, a free Palestine would expose the hypocrisy of U.S. claims to champion democracy and human rights, highlighting the stark contrast between American rhetoric and its actions in supporting an apartheid regime. This would further erode U.S. soft power and undermine its legitimacy on the world stage. The U.S. empire, built on military might, economic dominance, and cultural hegemony, is facing an unprecedented crisis of legitimacy and power. From the disastrous wars in Iraq and Afghanistan to the rise of China and the BRICS nations, the unipolar moment of American dominance is fading. The U.S. economy, burdened by trillions of dollars in debt, is struggling to maintain its global competitiveness. The US military, overstretched and bogged down in endless wars, is facing growing challenges from rival powers. And the US political system, plagued by partisan gridlock, corruption and the rise of right-wing populism, is increasingly unable to address the complex challenges of the 21st century. The US's unwavering support for Israel, in defiance of international law and public opinion, has further alienated allies, fueled anti-American sentiment, and tarnished its image on the world stage. The Palestinian struggle has become a lightning rod for criticism of US foreign policy, exposing the hypocrisy of American claims to champion democracy and human rights. Section 5, The Global South Awakens, A New Dawn for Palestine. As the US empire falters, a new world order is emerging, one in which the Global South is asserting its voice and challenging the traditional power dynamics. From Latin America to Africa to Asia, countries are increasingly rejecting US hegemony and forging new alliances based on mutual respect, cooperation, and shared prosperity. The Palestinian struggle for liberation has found fertile ground in this changing global landscape. Countries in the Global South, many of which have their own histories of colonialism and struggle against oppression, are increasingly vocal in their support for Palestinian rights and their condemnation of Israeli apartheid. The Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions or BDS movement, a global campaign for Palestinian rights inspired by the South African anti-apartheid struggle, has gained traction around the world, mobilizing civil society, students, academics and artists to pressure Israel to comply with international law. The growing global solidarity with Palestine reflects a broader shift in global consciousness, a rejection of empire and oppression, and a yearning for a more just and equitable world order. The Palestinian struggle, once marginalized and ignored, has emerged as a touchstone for this global movement for change. Section 6. Echoes of Resistance, From Dearborn to Durban. The struggle for Palestinian liberation is not confined to the streets of Ramallah or the refugee camps of Gaza. It is a global struggle, resonating with communities and individuals around the world who recognize the interconnectedness of oppression and the universality of the fight for justice. From the streets of Dearborn, Michigan, where the largest Arab American community in the United States has long been a center of Palestinian activism, to the bustling metropolis of Durban, South Africa, where the memory of apartheid fuels solidarity with the Palestinian people, the call for justice for Palestine reverberates. Students on university campuses across the United States and Europe are organizing divestment campaigns, demanding their institutions sever ties with corporations complicit in Israeli human rights abuses. Artists, musicians, and writers are using their platforms to amplify Palestinian voices and challenge narratives that perpetuate injustice. The global solidarity movement for Palestine is a testament to the power of people's movements to transcend borders, bridge cultural divides, and challenge systems of oppression. It is a beacon of hope, demonstrating that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, the human spirit yearns for justice and equality. Section 7. BDS, A Weapon of the People. In the face of Israeli impunity and US complicity, the Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions (BDS) movement has emerged as a powerful tool for holding Israel accountable for its violations of international law and for pressuring corporations and institutions to end their complicity in the occupation. Modeled after the successful anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, BDS calls for a non-violent grassroots campaign to pressure Israel to comply with international law by boycotting Israeli goods and services, particularly those produced in illegal settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories, divesting from companies and institutions that profit from the occupation or are complicit in human rights abuses, sanctioning Israel until it complies with international law, including ending the occupation, dismantling the separation wall, and granting full equality to Palestinian citizens of Israel. Despite facing fierce opposition from Israel and its allies, who have sought to smear the movement as anti-Semitic and stifle free speech, BDS has gained significant momentum in recent years, garnering support from prominent academics, artists, human rights organizations, and even some mainstream political parties. BDS is not about punishing individuals or promoting hatred. It is about holding a state accountable for its actions and leveraging economic and cultural power to achieve justice and equality. It is a non-violent grassroots movement that recognizes the interconnectedness of struggles for justice and the importance of global solidarity in challenging systems of oppression. Section 8. Education, the key to liberation. The struggle for Palestinian liberation is not just about dismantling physical walls and checkpoints, it is also about dismantling the walls of misinformation, propaganda, and historical revisionism that have long obscured the truth about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Education is a powerful tool for liberation. By learning about the history of Palestine, the root causes of the conflict, and the lived experiences of the Palestinian people, we can challenge dominant narratives, expose injustice, and cultivate empathy and understanding. It is crucial to seek out alternative sources of information beyond the mainstream media, which often perpetuates biased and inaccurate portrayals of the conflict. Engage with Palestinian scholars, activists, and artists, read Palestinian literature, and watch Palestinian films to gain a more nuanced and holistic understanding of the issue. Share your knowledge with others, organize educational events, facilitate discussions, and use social media to amplify Palestinian voices and challenge misinformation. By raising awareness and promoting understanding, we can create a more informed and engaged public that is better equipped to advocate for justice and accountability. Section 9. A call to action. Stand with Palestine, dismantle empire. The struggle for Palestinian liberation is a struggle for justice, equality, and human dignity. It is a struggle against colonialism, apartheid, and the enduring legacy of empire. And it is a struggle that demands our attention, our solidarity, and our action. Silence is not an option. We cannot stand idly by while the Palestinian people endure the daily realities of occupation, dispossession, and violence. We must act, and we must act now. Here are some ways you can make a difference. Educate yourself and others. Learn about the history of the conflict, the root causes of the current situation, and the lived experiences of the Palestinian people. Support the BDS movement. Boycott Israeli goods and services, divest from companies complicit in the occupation, and advocate for sanctions against Israel until it complies with international law. Contact your elected officials. Demand they hold Israel accountable for its actions and support Palestinian rights. Donate to organizations working on the ground. Support groups providing humanitarian aid, legal assistance, and advocacy for Palestinian rights. Amplify Palestinian voices. Share their stories, perspectives, and experiences with your networks. Challenge misinformation and propaganda. Speak out against bias and inaccuracies in media coverage and public discourse. The struggle for Palestinian liberation is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires sustained commitment, unwavering solidarity, and a belief in the power of collective action to create a more just and equitable world. Let us stand on the right side of history. Let us stand with Palestine. Let us dismantle empire.